In this topic, we'll connect the core Azure security pieces you need in place before you ever touch an HSM. You'll see how identity, access control, monitoring, and key management come together to form a secure cloud foundation that your HSM-backed keys can safely rely on. You started by understanding why HSMs exist and how they protect high-value keys. Then you built a foundation in encryption, algorithms, and key lifecycles. Now we'll anchor those ideas in Azure Security Services and real cloud workloads, so you're ready to compare Azure Key Vault, Managed HSM, and Dedicated HSM. HSMs don't live in a vacuum. In Azure, they sit inside a broader security context. Identity is now the perimeter. Access to keys is controlled through Azure AD, roles, and least privilege assignments. Those HSM services are deployed into subscriptions, resource groups, and virtual networks that define your blast radius. And monitoring, logging, and governance prove who did what, when, helping you meet your side of the shared responsibility model. Think of Azure Key Management as a spectrum of control and responsibility. At one end, platform-managed keys are fully handled by Azure. You barely see the keys at all. Azure Key Vault is multi-tenant and general purpose, ideal for most application secrets and keys. Managed HSM moves you to single-tenant, FIPS-validated hardware with stricter isolation. Dedicated HSM goes furthest. You operate actual HSM appliances, gaining maximum control and maximum operational burden. Platform-managed keys are like using the default lock the cloud provider installs. They're secure, rotated for you, and work for most workloads with minimal effort. Customer-managed keys are like bringing your own lock and keeping the master key. You decide who can use it, when it rotates, and when it's disabled or destroyed, often through Key Vault or HSM, making it ideal for regulated data and strict auditing or separation of duty requirements. Azure Key Vault is your central safe for sensitive application data. It can hold encryption keys, application secrets like connection strings or API keys, and TLS certificates for securing endpoints. Access is controlled through Microsoft Entra ID, so you use identities and roles instead of hard-coded credentials. Many Azure services rely on it for customer-managed keys. And because it integrates with Azure Monitor, you can audit, alert, and demonstrate how your secrets are being used. Managed HSM gives you HSM-grade protection without buying or running hardware yourself. Your application or Azure service authenticates using a managed identity, then calls Managed HSM for encrypt, decrypt, sign, or verify operations. Keys never leave the HSM boundary. Only results come back. Because it's single-tenant, your keys aren't mixed with other customers. Local RBAC controls exactly who can use which keys, which is critical for regulated or high-assurance workloads. Dedicated HSM is what you choose when just give me a managed service isn't enough. Instead of a shared cluster, you get your own physical HSM appliance in Azure. You own the whole lifecycle: initialization, partitions, users, policies, and operational procedures. That extra control supports strict regulators, legacy on-prem HSM migrations, or unique crypto algorithms. The trade-off is complexity. Compared to managed HSM, you gain freedom, but also take on far more operational responsibility. Microsoft Entra ID is the central directory that everything in Azure trusts. Every person, app, or workload needs an identity here before it can access a resource. Users are individual people signing in. Groups let you assign access once and apply it to many users. Service principals are identities for applications and automation. Managed identities are built-in identities for Azure resources, so they authenticate securely without stored secrets or passwords. When an app needs to encrypt, sign, or read a secret, it should authenticate with an identity, not a hard-coded key. First, enable either a service principal or a managed identity. For Azure-hosted workloads, managed identity is the safer default. Next, assign only the minimal Key Vault or managed HSM permissions required. The workload then requests a token and uses that token to access its keys and secrets securely. Think about access in two layers. The management plane controls who can create, configure, or delete HSM resources. The data plane controls who can actually use keys to decrypt, sign, or otherwise handle sensitive data. Azure RBAC lets you assign different roles for each layer to users, groups, or identities. Least privilege means scoping these roles so they grant only the minimal actions over the narrowest resources for the shortest time. In an enterprise HSM, no single group should control everything. Security teams define policies, approve which keys can exist, and watch high-risk activity. Key administrators execute those policies. They create, rotate, disable, or recover keys under change control. Application teams only use keys through approved APIs, without export or delete rights. Auditors don't operate the system. They just need reliable logs and evidence to support compliance and investigations. Monitoring keys isn't just about catching failures, it's about proving controls are working over time. Azure Monitor is the hub. It ingests activity logs for who did what at the subscription level and resource logs for detailed key and configuration operations. Diagnostic settings decide where those logs go. Log analytics for querying and alerts, storage for long-term retention, and event hubs for streaming to external CM or monitoring tools. Log analytics is where your Azure and HSM logs land, and Custo queries turn that raw data into answers. You can ask things like, who changed access, was a key disabled, or were decrypt operations spiking yesterday? Microsoft Sentinel then connects those answers with identity, network, and endpoint signals. Together, they power real investigations, automate alerts, and give you defensible evidence for incident reports, audits, and compliance reviews. You've seen that Azure HSM security is built on identity, access control, monitoring, logging, and governance. You now understand the spectrum from platform-managed keys to customer-managed HSM-backed keys, and why least privilege and strong audit trails matter. Next, we'll put this into practice by comparing Key Vault, Managed HSM, and Dedicated HSM.